Yeah, good morning all. Take your notebook, give the next heading, that is third application of dimensional analysis, deriving relation between physical quantities. Give the subheading, application 3 or uses of dimensional analysis number 3, deriving relation between physical quantities or derivation of formula. Or you can simply write derivation of formula. Now, if you want, you can note it down, not that important. Here also, we use what? The principle of homogeneity. To derive relation between physical quantities also, we use the principle of homogeneity. And what is principle of homogeneity tell? You already know. Whatever expression we have in an equation, each term should have the same dimension. So just keep that in mind, you can derive the relations. And here we only study to derive relation which have product type dependence, meaning I can only derive express. Suppose A is the physical quantity expression I want to derive. If A depends on B and C, and if that dependence is in this fashion, that is B into C, you can easily derive. Whereas if A is equal to, if it depends on B and C, and if it is B plus C, you cannot derive. So this is one limitation by using this method. Again, I'm repeating, by this dimensional analysis, you can derive expressions or equations for each of the quantity, no issues. But here, there is a limitation that you can only derive a relation which have a product type of dependence. Whereas if it comes as a sum or what? As a difference, suppose here B minus C. In all such cases, you cannot derive. You can derive, but you cannot derive using this particular method. That is dimensional analysis. Just note down that 2 points. First one, we use the concept of principle of homogeneity. Second one, the dependency should be of product type. Noted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. Now let us straight away move to problems. We will see 3 examples. First question I will solve. So you have to pay attention to the steps, and the rest 2 questions you have to solve it by yourself. So again, we will see 3 examples for this third application. And among that, the first one I will solve. So I will explain all the methods. You have to write the methods in detail. The second and third one, you have to do it by yourself. Okay. This is your first question. Write it down. Find the expression of force of a particle. Add E here for the force on a particle. E here. If it depends upon first one, mass m of the particle. Second one, acceleration, small letter a of the particle. Write down the question. Find the expression for force on a particle if it depends upon first one, mass m of the particle. Second one, acceleration a of the particle. Write down the question. Written?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So here from the question, what can I write? Here I want to find an expression for force, and it is given that it is depending directly on mass and acceleration. Mass and acceleration. So according to the question, I can write F is, if it depends upon which symbol you use to represent that dependency, we commonly use
Alpha.
this symbol. What is the meaning of this symbol? You are already familiar. What is the meaning of this symbol? Yeah, it is the proportionality symbol. Proportionality symbol. So here I can write F is proportional to, which is the first quantity, mass, and which is the second quantity, A. But you don't know how much is the proportionality. As the proportionality is kind of uncertain, you should put a power. Power term, I should take it as A, because how much of mass is depending or is contributing or controlling this force. So I'm taking m raised to A. Similarly, A also I don't know to what power it depends. So I must take it as A raised to B. Is this step clear? From the question, I can write F is proportional to mass and acceleration. But again, there's an uncertainty. I don't know by what exact amount it does depend. So I am taking m raised to A raised to B. And eventually I need to figure out this power A and B, and finally you can express your relation. Okay. So first itself, write down according to the question. If I write according to the question, ATQ, according to the question, F is proportional to m raised to A raised to B, where A and B are powers. That's all. Okay. Now second step, wherever you see proportionality sign, what should we do? If I want to remove it, what should I introduce?
Constant.
Yeah, I should bring a constant. So here also I'm going to remove this proportionality relation. For that, I'm going to introduce a constant, and I'm representing the constant by K. Write small letter K or capital letter K, it doesn't matter. I'm going to introduce a constant. So write F is equal to K times m raised to a raised to b. And below you have to specify what does this k, where k is the proportionality constant. K is the proportionality constant. Write it down. And here for such a relation, I will assume that this proportionality constant have no dimension. So you can also write in bracket, it is dimensionless. Dimensionless. We will assume this proportionality constant has no dimension. That is an assumption that we make. If it have a dimension, I cannot find it because this is something that we introduce. Written up to here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Now in previous classes we have studied. What does principle of homogeneity tell? This equation have how many terms? This is the equation. It have how many terms? Tell.
2.
F is equal to K.
4.
Yeah, only 2 terms. Or generally I can write A is equal to B. F is A, B is this term, right? It have 2 terms. Now what does principle of homogeneity tell? What does principle of homogeneity tells in case of this equation? If it have 2 terms,
Dimension A
Yeah.
equal to dimension
dimension
B.
of A is equal to dimension of B. So apply that. So I'm going to apply principle of homogeneity in this relation. Thus, I can write dimension of force will be equal to K into. K is a dimensionless constant, so you can avoid it. You can avoid it. Times what? Dimension of m raised to A times dimension of
A raised to
A
B.
raised B. Yeah, so put that A and B outside the bracket. That is better. Okay. M raised to A raised to B. Is this step clear? How did I write? By applying proportionality or principle of homogeneity. By applying principle of homogeneity, I can write dimension of force will be equal to dimension of mass raised to A times dimension of acceleration raised to B. Is this much clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now do one thing.
sir.
What you can do? You can just simply substitute the dimension. What is the dimension of force? Tell. What is the dimension of force?
MLT
Those who don't know.
to the power minus 2.
Yeah, ml t raised to minus 2. What is the dimension of mass? What is the dimension of mass?
Capital M.
Yeah, only m. Only m. Or I can write m raised to 1. What is the dimension of acceleration?
A.
A is a symbol.
MLT.
What? Dimension of acceleration.
LT raised to minus 2.
Yeah, it is
LT raised to
t
minus
raised to minus 2. L t raised to minus 2. There is no mass. Or if I write mass, I should write m raised to 0. Okay. Now apply it here. So substitute. On substituting, we will get force is m L t raised to minus 2, which is equal to mass is m. Mass is m. But here you have a power, so write that power also. M raised to a. Second one, acceleration. It is L t raised to minus 2. And you have a power which is b. Fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now remove this bracket. Remove this bracket. What you can write? Removing the bracket, I can write this will be m L t raised to minus 2 will be equal to, or I can get rid of the bracket. M raised to a. Yes or no? M raised to a times this much term. How will it be? After removing the bracket. AB raised to h.
L raised to
Expand
B.
this. AB raised to h. Expand this.
A
AB
raised to A, B raised to A.
Yeah, a raised to h into b raised to h. So apply this logic here. Then tell L t raised to minus 2 raised to b. So it will be L raised to b into how much?
T raised to minus 2B.
Minus 2b. Is that clear? Now comes the important step, or I can say the most important step. You need to compare the powers on both sides. So write down. Comparing powers on both sides. Powers on both sides. What can I write? Here m has a power 1. Here m has a power a. So I can write what? What is the first relation I can write? A is equal to 1. Yes or no? Because LHS should be equal to RHS. Then only this equation is true. So if that is the case, I can say power of m in LHS should be equal to power of m in the RHS. So that means A is equal to 1. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Similarly,
Yes.
compare the next power. Compare the next power. Which one is that? Compare the next power. What is the equation that you will get?
B
L1.
1.
B equal to 1.
Yeah, you will get B is equal to 1. Comparing the powers of L, here also there is 1, here also B. So I can write B is equal to 1. Fine. Third equation. You will get one more equation, which is that
T equal to minus 2b.
Minus 2. Minus
Yeah.
2b equal to minus 2.
minus 2 is equal to minus 2b. This, if you evaluate this third equation, can divide both sides by minus 2. This will also be b is equal to or 1 is equal to b. Yes or no? Yes or no? If I evaluate this expression, you will get 1 is equal to b, dividing both sides by minus 2. So we have got a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1. Do one more thing. You can mark this as equation number 1. Mark this as equation number 1. I forgot. This you mark it as equation number 1. F is equal to k, m raised to a raised to b. Mark it as equation number 1. Now you have got the powers value. So what should I do? I should just substitute powers value a and b in equation 1. In equation 1. And tell me what is the answer. So on substituting, you will get f is equal to k times m raised to 1 a raised to 1. Or I can simply write f is equal to k times ma. Let me write it below. Or this implies f is equal to k times ma. And this is the equation that we get. So we have got the relation f is equal to k times ma. That is the expression. What is the meaning? F is directly proportional to mass and acceleration. It doesn't have any powers. This equation you already know. This is known as Newton's second law. And here one limitation is that I cannot get rid of this k. For getting rid of this k, you should do experiments. And when you do experiment later, you can find the value of k is said to be 1. And that can only be found by doing experiment. So when k is equal to 1, the actual equation becomes what? F is equal to ma. That is what we study. Again, this is a drawback of dimensional analysis. You can never get rid of this proportionality constant. It will always remain there. To find proportionality constant, you should do experiment. Experiments is the only way by which we can eliminate constants. So write it down. Expression is equal to f is equal to kma. Finally, by experiment, we find that k is equal to 1. So final expression, we will reduce it as f is equal to ma. Written?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is very simple. Just go from the start. Next question, you have to do it by yourself. Next question, you have to do it by yourself. So just go through it from the start. If any doubt, ask it first. Okay, if no doubts, you can write the next question. Write it down. Read it twice. Then try to solve it. Follow the method that we have discussed now. I'll give you, 2 minutes. Read the question. Here you don't need to know what is centripetal force to solve this question. If I tell centripetal force, what is centripetal force? All are familiar with circular motion. You see anything moving in a circle. Suppose you have a stone, you tie it to a string and you are rotating it. So it is moving in a circle. Now keep this body in a circle. You should apply a force which is always acting towards the center. Whenever you see any body exhibiting circular motion, understand that to keep that body in that circular path, you should apply a force such that it acts towards the center of that motion. This force, we call it a centripetal force. Simple thing. You might have studied in lower class. If I say one force that is opposite to centripetal, that is known as centrifugal. So opposite to centripetal, there's also a force acting on the body which has a direction away from the center. That is known as centrifugal. Centrifugal. Here it is centripetal force which is asked. Now from this question, what can I write? From the question, according to the question, what can I write? Tell ATQ. What is given? The centripetal force depends on what all things? First one.
Mass.
Tell. Yeah, mass. It depends on mass m. And I don't know how much. So I should take the power as a. M raised to a. Then second quantity.
Radius.
Yeah, it depends on a radius. It depends on a radius. And I don't know how much. So again, r raised to b. Next one. Next
Velocity.
quantity. Yeah, velocity.
Velocity.
And I don't know power. So take it as c. So this is the first relation. Now what is the next step? Tell, what is the next step? I can write. Yeah, introduce a dimensionless constant. So that dimensionless constant will be k. So f is equal to k times m raised to a, r raised to b, v raised to c. Now what can I do? I can equate the powers or equate the dimensions. By principle of homogeneity, write the dimensions. Tell dimension of force we have written in the previous question as well. What is that?
ml t raised to minus 2.
Yeah, ml t raised to minus 2. This will be equal to k. It is a dimensionless constant, so I'm not going to write it again. What is the dimension of mass? You already know.
Capital M.
Yeah, capital M raised to A. What is the dimension of radius? Dimension of radius.
L.
Capital L.
L.
Yeah, it is
L.
L because radius is nothing but a length, and it is raised to B. Now velocity.
L t raised to minus 1.
Yeah, L t raised to minus 1 and all raised to C. All raised to C. Now remove the bracket, express it, get rid of the bracket. Yeah. So it will be M L t raised to minus 2 will be equal to M raised to A. Now look at here, L. L, already there is a B. Here there is a C. This is L raised to C. So what is the total power of L? There is,
LBC.
yeah, LB into LC. So what it will be? LB into LC. I can write it as L raised to,
L raised to B plus C.
yeah, so write it
B
down.
plus C.
A raised to L raised to B plus C. Any doubt in that? Normal law of exponents, nothing else.
No,
Now,
sir.
last one, T. T, how much it will be? Open the bracket, minus 1 into C. So it will be,
Minus C.
Minus
yeah,
C.
minus C. Minus C. Now what can I do? Now you should compare or comparing powers on both sides. Powers on both sides. You will get 3 equations. Which all? What are the 3 equations that you will get? First equation.
Equals
Here-
to 1.
Here, if you have doubt, you should put M means M raised to 1, L raised to 1. So that will be easier for you to compare. Yeah, tell. This is the first expression. A is equal to
Equals to 1.
1.
1.
Second one.
B plus C equals to 1.
Yeah, B plus C. B plus C is equal to 1. Or I can write B is equal to what? B is equal to 1 minus C. Yes or no? From this relation, I can write B is equal to 1 minus C. 1 minus C. Now, which is the third relation? Third.
Minus C equals to minus 2.
Yeah, minus 2 is equal to minus C. Or from this, I can write C is equal to what? C is equal to what?
2.
2. C is equal to 2. If C is equal to 2, can you find B? C is equal to 2, can you find B?
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus
How
1.
much is B? It will be minus 1. So B is equal to minus 1. And you have got all the 3 relation. A is equal to 1, B is equal to minus 1, C is equal to 2. So here also do one thing. Mark this as equation number 1. Mark this as equation number 1. Now as you got the powers, write down what? Substituting or substitute A, B, C in equation 1. So what you get? Tell. Equation 1 becomes what? F is equal to K into M raised to what?
1.
Yeah, M raised to 1. R raised to?
1.
1.
No.
Minus 1. Minus 1.
Minus 1.
Yeah, it is minus
Minus
1. It is minus 1. And minus 1, how can I write? Or we'll write in the next step. Finally, what is that? V. V raised to how much? V raised to?
2.
Yeah, 2. E is raised to 2. Now you can evaluate this. F is equal to K. M I am writing at M. R raised to minus 1. I can write it as?
1 by R.
Yeah, 1 by R. So R will go to denominator. Now V square itself. So what is the final expression? F is equal to K times mv square by R. K times mv square by R. Here also by experiment, you can find the value of K and it is found to be 1. So this is from experiment. And if that is the case, what is the final expression? Centripetal force is equal to simple equation mv square R. By heart this, very important. We will be using this equation from chapter 4 onwards. Chapter 4 onwards, we will be using that. Not only there, in chapter again 8, chapter 4 and 8, we will be extensively using this equation by heart it now itself. Centripetal force is equal to mv square, not R, by R. mv square by R. Go through it. If any doubt, ask it fast.
Sir, after substituting equation.
Which one? After substituting equation in which part?
Last
Yeah,
part.
here I'm just substituting the values. Here we already have this equation. F is equal to K m raised to A. Instead of A, I'm substituting 1. So it is m raised to 1. R raised to B, B is minus 1. Here I'm putting minus 1. Then V raised to C, C is equal to 2. Put 2. Then what did I do? R raised to minus 1. H raised to minus 1 is what? Reciprocal of H, 1 by H. So I expressed R raised to minus 1 by as 1 by R. That's all. Whenever you see a
Yes,
power
sir.
raised to minus power, you should take that reciprocal, or you should transform that into the denominator from the numerator. That's all. Okay, then we will do one more questions from this section. Yeah, this is a question, write it down. Deduce an expression for period, or instead of period, you can specify, I mean, time period. Time period. Deduce an expression for time period of oscillation of a simple pendulum. Write down the question. Deduce an expression for time period of oscillation of a simple pendulum. Of a simple pendulum. I hope all are familiar with time period, yes or no? Simple pendulum is a simple apparatus. You have a mass or a bob. This is known as a bob or simply mass. And it will have, let us take the mass to be small letter m. And you will hang it to a string. And the length of the string, I can take it as small letter L. So L is the length of the string. Now it is attached to a wall. This thing is a fixed wall. So here I have shown this thing will be a fixed wall. Fine. So this is a simple pendulum. Now what you can do, if I apply a force, if you apply a force from either side, this will start to oscillate. So it will come here, then it will come back, go to the next extreme position, then it will continue. So this is known as oscillation. Oscillation. And time period I have specified, it is a time taken to complete one oscillation. Meaning, if it starts from here, goes through this position, comes back, goes through this position, come back. The time taken to come back to the initial position after going to both sides. This is known as time period. The time taken to complete one oscillation is known as time period. Okay. Now here, how many factors are there? Whenever you have an object hanging in this fashion, there is an force acting on it. Which is that force? There will also always be which force acting on it? What is G?
Gravitation.
Gravitational force. So we can see how many terms are there controlling this time period. There is length of this string, there is mass of this bob, as well as gravitation. No other factors are there. No other factors are controlling this oscillation. So you can right away write or assume the time period of the simple pendulum may possibly depend on mass, length, and G. Write down. Write down. The time period of the simple pendulum may possibly depend upon mass of the bob. Bob means this particular thing. Then length of the pendulum. Length of the pendulum means length of this string. And finally G, which is acceleration due to gravity. Write it down. If that is the case, can you write the equation? Translate this into proportionality sign. Translate the statement into proportionality sign. How will I write?
T is proportional.
T is proportional.
Yeah. Time period, you can take it as capital letter T. Time period, you can take it as capital letter T. Till now, we took time as small letter t, but here time period, you can take it as capital letter T. Okay. T is proportional to, tell. Which all factors?
M raised to A.
Mass,
Raised
length,
to A.
M raised to A,
L
Next one.
raised to
M raised to A, I raised to
L
B,
raised to B, and
raised to B, G raised to C.
C.
G raised to C. Now solve it fast. Again, I will give you 1.5 minutes. Do it fast. From here, you can solve it very fast. Do it fast. This is question from this dimensional analysis. This is the repeated question from this section. You can find this question as one of the worked out examples also. Later go through the test. This is again a repeated question from this particular section for your final board exam. That is 11th standard board. Yeah. Now remove this proportionality sign. What can I write? If I remove the proportionality sign, I can write
T
T is equal to,
equals to K.
yeah, a dimensionless
M
constant
raised-
K times M raised to A,
M raised to A.
L raised to B,
B, Z raised
G raised to C. Now apply principle of homogeneity. What's the dimension of time? What is the dimension of time?
MLT raised to 1. MLT raised to 1.
No.
MLT
Dimension of time.
to 1.
Yeah, it is only T raised to 1. Time means what? Only time is there. T raised to 1. Clear? Time means T raised to 1.
Sir.
Okay. It is equal to K. I'm not taking. What is the dimension of mass?
M.
Capital
Yeah,
M.
M. And it is raised to A. Dimension of length. Dimension of length.
L.
L raised to
B.
B. Now what is G? G means what? Acceleration. So it will have the same dimension as that of normal acceleration. So tell.
L LT to the power minus 2.
T raised to
Yeah,
minus
L T raised to minus 2 raised to the power C. Fine. Next step, I can remove the bracket. But to remove the bracket, after that I should compare the powers. Now to compare the powers, I'm going to bring here M and L. So how can I bring M and L here? I can write M raised to 0. Yes or no? M raised to 0 is same as 1. So it doesn't make any difference. Similarly, I can write L raised to 0. Because if I write both
Yes, sir.
1 itself, it doesn't make a difference. So you can do that. And finally, T raised to 1. It is same as time period of dimension of time period is equal to. Now here M, there is only one term, that is M raised to A. Now tell L, in 2 terms or in 2 factors there is L. So tell L raised to what power?
B plus C.
Yeah, B plus C. B plus C, same as in the previous case. And finally T. T raised to how much?
Minus 2.
minus
Yeah,
2
minus 2.
C.
Minus 2C.
Minus 2C. Now what can I do? The usual step. Comparing. Write it down. Comparing powers on both sides. Powers on both sides. What can you write? 3 equation you will get it again.
A equals
Yeah,
to
first equation you got A is equal to 0. Second equation.
B plus C equal to 0.
Yeah, B plus C is equal to 0. From that, right away you can write B is equal to what? B is equal to what?
Minus C.
Minus C. Then third equation.
Minus
Third
twice
equation.
equal to 1.
Yeah, 1 is equal to minus 2C. Or from here, I can write C. What is C? What is the value of C?
Minus 1 by 2.
Minus 2.
Yeah, minus 1 by 2. Yes or no? If C is equal to minus 1 by 2, what is B? If C
1
is
by
equal to
2.
minus 1. It is 1 by 2.
1 by 2.
So you have got all the 3 values. You have got all the 3 powers. B is equal to 1 by 2. C is equal to minus 1 by 2. A is equal to 0. Now what should I do? Again, every time I am forgetting that step, I should put this as equation number 1. Now what is the next step? I should?
Substitute.
Yeah, substitute. So right. Substitute A, B, C in equation 1. Then how will it be? For substitute, it will turn out to be T is equal to K M raised to how much? What is A?
0.
0.
0. L raised to how much? L raised to
1 by 2. 1 by
yeah, 1 by 2. And G raised to
Minus 1 by 2.
Minus 1.
minus 1 by 2. Okay. Now M raised to 0. What will happen to that term? Tell M raised to 0.
1.
Yeah, so that will vanish. So I don't need to write M. Then remaining is L raised to 1 by 2 and G raised to 1 by 2. Tell if in general, if you have a number or any variable x raised to 1 by 2, how shall I express it?
Root over x.
Yeah, it just means root over x. Root over x. So L raised to 1 by 2 means it is root. Root over L. Now L raised to minus 1 by 2 means what? Combine the two. X raised to minus 1 by 2. It means what?
1 by root over G.
Yeah. Root of 1 by x. Root of 1 by x. That is the meaning. So get this idea clear. If you have doubts, you should write it in margin. X raised to 1 by 2 means root of x. Whose mic is not muted? Yeah, number mute your mic. X raised to 1 by 2 means root of x. Whereas x raised to minus 1 by 2, it means root of how much? Not minus x, you should take 1 by x. Get it clear? Don't confuse. If you have confusion, you should write down this in margin. Because in later chapters also, we will use this relation. Don't write it minus h like that. No. If minus come in the power, it means you should take the reciprocal. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. So here G will be what? Here G will be what? 1 by G. Root of 1 by G. So I'm going to write it together. This is the final relation that you will get. Final relation that you will get. That is, time period is equal to a dimensionless or dimension constant times L by G. Root of L by G. And here also, if you do the experiments, you will find the value of K to be 2 pi. If you do experiment, you will find the value of K to be 2 pi. That you can note it down. For an experiment, the value of K is found to be 2 pi. If that is the case, what is the final expression? You can write T is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. And this is a very, very important equation. Again, as important as F is equal to ma, the time period of a simple pendulum. Equation is 2 pi root of L by G. 2 pi root of L by G. Study now itself. Study now itself. Very, very important. Time period of a simple pendulum is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. Meaning time period depends only on length of the string and acceleration due to gravity. So look at this case. Or in other ways, I can say time period has no dependency on which factor, which is the factor that we took, which has no role in mass. And this is also very important. Meaning what? You took a small, suppose this is equal to m is equal to 5 kg. You took a small bob which having 5 kg, you rotate it, and this will take a time period. Instead of this 5 kg, if you take 100 kg, if you take 100 kg, and if you rotate it, still the time period for both will be same. So this is actually counterintuitive, meaning if I hang a human being here or if I hang an ant here, both will take what? The same time period to complete one oscillation. When you think about it, it is actually counterintuitive. In normal sense, I will take what? That man will take more time or the ant will take less time. That is what we normally think. But this equation tells us that whatever you take, even if I take an elephant or a man or an ant, all will have same time period for oscillation. So that is a very important result. We'll study this again in second last chapter, that is oscillations. So by heart now, time period is equal to 2 pi root of L by G. Written, completed?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Any doubts? Any
Yes, sir.
doubts?
No, sir.
Note it separately, time period is independent of mass. Time period is independent of mass. That means whatever mass you take, it doesn't have any effect on time period. Time period will be remaining constant. And again, one more thing, this is an ideal case. This is an ideal case, meaning here we are not focusing on the resistance offered by air. In real life, it will have a significance. Why? Because in real life, there is always air. And air will produce what? Resistance. When you try to move in space, you will always feel a push from the air surrounding that. If air was absent, this equation is valid. So in a real life or practical case, you might have, you also need to account for air resistance. This is an ideal case. Everything, every law we are discussing in physics, it is only applicable in case of ideal case. That is why coming to chapter 5, laws of motion, we'll study without friction and with friction. We'll study every cases without friction and with friction. So that is all. 3 application of dimensional analysis. The last part, you can note down the limitation of dimensional analysis. So next to give the subheading, limitations of dimensional analysis. Limitations. We have already seen a few limitations. So let's summarize one. First one, it gives no information about the dimensionless constant. That is, with regard to K, we will never get any information. To find K, you should do experiment. So that is the first limitation. Write it down. The dimensional analysis will not give any information about the dimensionless constant. Dimensionless constant. It is not applicable to equations involving either trigonometric or exponential function. The method or derivation of dimensions or equations is not applicable if an equation contains any trigonometric or exponential function. And you know the reason why. Wherever you take sine theta or cos theta, it is actually dimensionless. So if an equation has y is equal to a sine theta x, you cannot account for this because it has no dimension. So I cannot equate LHS equal to RHS. It will not make any difference. That is why we cannot find such a relation using dimensional analysis. We already discussed that part. Exponential also we discussed. X raised to, it is only a number, meaning it will not have any dimension. So that is the second limitation. Next one. The method cannot be employed to derive exact form of relationship. Again, I told, only the dependency should be product type. This I discussed in the beginning part itself. If A is equal to B plus C, you cannot derive the equation. It should always be A is equal to B into C. If there comes a sum or difference, you cannot derive. So note down third limitation. And final one you have, if a quantity contains more than 3 unknown, again, this method will fail. So maximum you can have what? A is equal to X, Y, Z. If there is again more values, B, C, D, you cannot find the relation because the number of equation will increase. So always when you have an equation of 3 variable, there should be at least 1 unknown, 2 unknown. Then only you can find those values. If the number of equation increase, I cannot find it. Note down the limitation of dimensional analysis. These are the limitations. Yeah, so we have completed the chapter. So that is the end of chapter 2. You can use the following time to revise from the start. If any doubts, you can clear it. Tomorrow I will start with chapter, which one? Third one. That is motion in a straight line. So try to study it. It is a very base chapter, and I have told in the beginning itself, till 12th standard, whatever chapter you study, we will revise this chapter 2, because every chapter you will study one or the other new physical quantity. If a physical quantity is studied, you should study their unit, SI unit, also their dimension. So this chapter is relevant for all the chapters that you study later. Make sure you revise it well. Tomorrow I will begin with chapter 3. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye. See you tomorrow.